All right, good morning. This is lesson 4 for Unit 7 for Integrated 1. I hope everyone's doing well. This lesson is actually the mathematical part to what you guys did yesterday when you played Tetris. I want my students to play Tetris because I want you guys to practice actually sliding shapes around and rotating shapes. The sliding the shapes, that's called a translation. The spinning of a shape is called a rotation. So today we're going to talk about the translation. And so our goal is to define a translation. After that, we're going to understand the notation about translations. And then we're going to apply the notation and we're going to describe the translations. So again, this is a very, I think, simple lesson. Take notes. I realize that when I write down on this side of the board, I'm completely blocking you guys. So I'm going to start off the lessons now with this written down so I don't block that, and it's a little easier to see. So I'll just try and make this nice and quick. And I do also want to mention that I'm very impressed with how many of you did do your homework. That was a lot. I think around 80%. Let's get that number up. Again, we want to be able to say I want to be able to say to my bosses, hey, these students need to pass. You want to tell me, hey, I earned the right to pass. So any assignment I give you guys, please, please, please make sure you do it. All right. And I'm already saying a lot. So let's start off by defining a translation. The definition of a translation. So the definition of a translation literally means that you're just moving shapes around. They don't spin, they don't flip, they just move. Okay, so it's just a sliding of a shape. That's all that it is. It's a sliding of a shape. So one, it's probably spelled wrong. Now, for this lesson, I think I spelled that wrong. For this lesson, we're going to be dealing with shapes on a graph. And I'd like to just kind of remind you guys some things about a graph, and I think that it will make some sense as to how the notation works. So I think time is spent well here reviewing just some concepts of a graph. So horizontally, this is our x-axis. Vertically is our y-axis. Coming to the right, horizontally, we're going in a positive direction. Going to the left, horizontally, we're heading in a negative direction. Rising up is going positive in the y direction. Rising down is going in the negative y direction. They actually use ordered pairs in this to describe the notation. And so you're going to see something that looks like this. And I just want to make sure that I'm not going to run out of room here real quick. Okay. So let me walk you through this. So we're talking about horizontally. So it's saying take my horizontal position and I'm going to move it to the right, whatever that is. And then I'm going to take my vertical position and I'm going to move it up, whatever number that is. And so because I'm going to the right and I'm going up, I'm actually moving my shape in a diagonal direction. Now, it's actually kind of simple. So let's look at an example here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write what we call a rule. And a rule would look something like this. I'm going to tell you that whatever point you have, I want you to take that point and I want you to go 2 to the left and 3 up. So I might give you a point that looks like this. 5, 2. That's what we're starting with. And so now 5, 2 is going to be 2 less. So that means that 5 is now going to have 2 taken away from it, and it's going to turn into 3. And 2 is going to have 3 added to it, so it's moving 2 up. And that's going to turn into a 5. So 2 with a 3 is going to turn into a 5. Now, again, like I said, I think that this section is fairly simple. I don't expect a lot of confusion with this, but again, you're going to get a rule, and this is our notation. And so you're going to take your ordered pair and you're going to apply the rule. So here I'm telling you that whatever we have here, we're going to do this rule to it. So we take away 2 from 5, and we add 3 to 2. And so what happened here is I went in the negative direction. So wherever I was here, I went left, and then I went in the positive y direction. So I went up. So I went left and up. And I'll just draw real quick what happened, just so you can get a visual of this problem. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we started at 5, 2. This is where we started at. And from here we went to the left 2 and up 3. So the left 2, 1, 2, and we went up 3, 1, 2, 3, and we ended up here. So again, we went left and up. All right. So now there's a couple more things about the notation that I'd like to talk about. Where we start is called the preimage. And where we end up is called the image. So we start at the preimage, we end up at the image. So this would be our preimage because this is where we started, and this is our image because this is where we ended. Now, on this worksheet that I'm giving you, you're going to have letters at the points. And let's just say, for example, that this ordered pair had the name of A. After I moved it to its new location, I would now have what we would say would be A prime. That's our symbol for prime. I know that A has changed because I added a prime, so to me I remember that this is where my image is because the letter A has changed. So looking at our picture, this would be our A, because this is where we started, and we would call this A prime. So I know that this is where we moved to because it has that mark up there. It should actually be a little bit diagonal. So this is where we ended up, this is where we started. So I can tell you just from a picture, again, the starting location and the end location. So again, we're just moving shapes. Now this is just a point that you're moving. On your homework assignment, you're moving triangles. You're doing 3 specific problems. One thing that you're doing is you're going to have a triangle that's in a starting position. And I'm going to give you a rule. And then so what you're going to do to every point on the triangle is you're going to apply the rule. So for example, if you knew that one of the vertices of the triangle, the corners, the points, the elbows of the triangle was 5, 2, and I gave you this rule, then you just go through this. And you make sure that you add prime to that. Now, some of you may have graph paper. You can draw the graph of the answer, that's fine. Or you can just write the answer as an ordered pair. As long as you write the ordered pair with the point's name and add the prime symbol so I know that it moved. So that's one of the types of problems that you're going to have. The second type of problem you're going to have is you're going to have to describe how a preimage moved to its image. And so what you would do here is you could actually figure out where your image starts from. Like this one starts at 5, 2, and then you realize that it ends up at 3, 5. And so the way that you're going to write the rule is you're going to say that you start at xy, and you have to figure out how does 5 turn into 3. Well, you know that 5 turns into 3 by taking 2 away from it. And you know that 2 turns into 5 by adding 3 to it. So this is what it's going to look like when you're asked to write the rule. Again, write a point where you start, write the point where you end up, and figure out how 5 turns into 3 and 2 turns into 5, and add that to your, or subtract that to your x, and add that or subtract that to your y, and that's your rule. So you have 4 problems where you're asked to write the rule. I want to make sure that's on there. Yeah, it's on there. Let me pull this over a little bit. So you're going to be asked to do this. The last type of problem that you're going to be asked to do, is to just write the coordinates. It's a lot like the first 4 types of problems. Again, I think that this is a fairly simple lesson. Again, a translation. Let me just go over the point of this lesson. So the translation is just a sliding of a shape. The notation will be written as something happening to the x and something happening to the y. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your ordered pair and you're going to do what you're being told to do to it, and that's where you end up. So you go from your pre-image to your image. Again, if there's no mark with the point, that's where you begin. When I add the mark to the point, that's where we ended up. So this is our pre-image, this is our image. And you will also be asked to just write a rule for a couple of these. So, like I said, I think that this is fairly simple. I hope that I described it well enough. So I hope everyone is doing well. I will have the next video up tomorrow. I will have grades for Monday's assignment in the grade book today. So please make sure that you're doing the assignments that are assigned to you. And again, I hope everyone's doing okay. I will see you guys tomorrow.